one of the biggest concerns that got brought to light, I would say last year, probably when the whole Lambda thing with Google was happening.
Yeah.
I would remember waking up every other day, seeing like a headline about AI ethics and where we're going and what's happening, and concerns and some whistleblowers here and there and some big companies, and them saying that AI is sentient and all kinds of crazy things. And now we are actually actively seeing mass adoption. I mean, there's not a bigger sign of mass user adoption of a product that we've seen in the last 10 plus years that even comes close to this. Even when these companies announced that we just raised $100 million from, let's say, Microsoft, they didn't really disclose what they were doing or what the main core MVP was or the main core concept was. It was all under wraps of machine learning, under the wraps of just big data, things like that. And in a nutshell, it's the same thing. It's the same concept, but they were developing this. I mean, I strongly believe, and I think companies like Google, even Apple, they've been building this technology for 10 plus years. We just don't know about it.
Yeah, venture hustles, life is really what you make it. Building up your brand is whatever you create it. Really ain't no limit. You just gotta love it. Working day and night, it's all about the venture hustle. Hey, venture hustles. Time to take it to the next level. Let's go.
Welcome back to the Venture Hustles podcast. This is Saj and Jack. We are your co-hosts of the show. We're your weekly dose of entrepreneurship, startup, self-help, anything to do with technology. And today we're talking about artificial intelligence, implications of AI.
Quite a topic with the space we're in now.
Oh yeah, I mean we're discussing artificial intelligence, AI, its implications within regulations, just any sort of concerns the general public has. So we want to be able to shed a little bit of light on our perspective and just what we think and what we've been what we've been doing with AI.
I mean, and now more than ever, not only from a lot of top company executives, but from some of the common folk, let's say the people, customers actually using AI. This is starting to become more and more of a concern and more of a conversation here. So, we wanted to shed some light and have a discussion here. So, let's begin here. So, in regards to AI, right? So, for those of you that may not know, but I'm imagining that most of you do, artificial intelligence, companies like OpenAI, more known as ChatGPT. If you haven't used it, go to openai.com and click ChatGPT, and you will be able to experience AI, the most common AI that's out right now, which most people have experienced. And so with regards to today's topic, right, which is understanding or trying to understand the ethics behind AI and balancing responsibility, keeping those ethics intact, making sure we're going in the right direction. Why are ethics so important?
Yeah, I think, one of the biggest concerns that got brought to light, I would say last year, probably when the whole Lambda thing with Google was happening.
Yeah.
I would remember waking up every other day, seeing like a headline about AI ethics and where we're going and what's happening, and concerns and some whistleblowers here and there and some big companies, and them saying that AI is sentient and all kinds of crazy things. And now we are actually actively seeing mass adoption. I mean, there's not a bigger sign of mass user adoption of a product that we've seen in the last 10 plus years that even comes close to this. So was this predictable, you think?
I think it was predictable. Now, if we're talking about when it would happen, I don't know. But in regards to if it would happen, absolutely. I mean, for a lot of the episodes that we'll be doing and talking about, and even just some through some of the research that we've done, a lot of these AI companies started in 2015, 2016, 2017. So they've been building out this technology.
I mean, even earlier in some places, man, it wasn't. We just didn't know about it. Even when they went public, you know what's weird? Even when these companies announced that we just raised $100 million from, let's say, Microsoft, they didn't really disclose what they were doing or what the main core MVP was or the main core concept was. It was all under wraps of machine learning, under the wraps of just big data, things like that. And in a nutshell, it's the same thing. It's the same concept, but they were developing this. I mean, I strongly believe, and I think companies like Google, even Apple, they've been building this technology for 10 plus years. We just don't know about it. There's concerns of ethics. There's concerns of liability. I mean, we've been seeing artificial intelligence in a broader sense since like the 90s, and meaning, every game that you play, every campaign mode, every multiplayer. If you've got like something like Call of Duty, we play Call of Duty sometimes.
Want to hear something that I saw the other day? What? I saw a game. I forgot who the developer was, but it was a campaign mode, PC game campaign mode, where the NPC was a real-time AI. Yeah. So that the communication you would have with this NPC would be 100% of the time different based on what you've done in the game.
So it's true AI. So, but that's what I'm saying. Like since the 90s, maybe even earlier, we've seen artificial intelligence existed for the first time you've ever seen it. You just don't know it. And we've been calling this. Artificial intelligence existed in every format that is automated in a way. Meaning, like if you're playing a game and an NPC, right? Non-playable character. An NPC is acting a certain way or acting dynamically is because it's been coded to act like that. But it has limitations of what it can do. Yes. The biggest thing with artificial intelligence now is there are crazy tools that came out like AutoGPT that essentially takes what OpenAI built and operates with a mind of its own. You give it an end goal and it'll keep executing it, come up with another question, answer that question itself, then come up with another question, answer that until it executes and gives you the final result you're looking for on like auto command. So, and that didn't exist until now, right? Or at least in the public market.
Yeah. So with all that being said, in regards to ethics, why do you think it's so important to be mindful of that with AI?
I think I think that the biggest concern with ethics are just what exactly, what are the limitations of AI for it not to spit out all kinds of crazy things, right? Yeah. Last year, or a couple months ago, actually, we saw all these Twitter posts of people saying, look at what the AI just told me.
Bard and Bing, right?
Bard and Bing, even GPT early on, like all kinds of crazy things when it comes to political leaders or just in general. Like people found jailbreaks and hacks of how to generate hate comment, racist shit, discriminatory shit that was severely distorted. But there are workarounds, right? For anything. There's hacks for...
I can even remember when we were putting together Jarvis, creating Jarvis, it had like political bias almost, right? And that's something else that we wanted to talk about too, where,
that's a good point.
How we have to be able to control that, and in some sort of, there has to be some sort of parameters or restrictions that have to be put on it.
There wasn't though. That's the thing.
I know. I can remember doing the tests. I didn't even know until, we sent it out to a couple of beta testers, and they were just messing around. They're like, Jack, what is this? I'm looking at them like, what the
I know. So what Jack is referring to, what you're referring to is we developed an app. It's an AI app using GPT's technology, OpenAI's GPT technology. Yeah. But I guess we're going to throw them under the bus. We couldn't really control that element. So it was restricting certain things, and it was saying very biased information about certain political leaders. I won't say who. And in any case, it shouldn't. And it wasn't playing a neutral ground. But I mean,
should it?
Should it? Well, this is where I was going to, right? With AI, with artificial intelligence, the way I see it is like a mirror.
Mm-hmm.
It reflects what we input as a society.
Mm-hmm.
So if we care about ethics, at the end of the day, it has to basically come from us and our inputs. Artificial intelligence is a computer. It's a tool.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't think on its own without any directions or parameters. Not yet, at least. It's
Mm-hmm.
not on autopilot. It doesn't have real world hands, commands it can follow for it to execute. It's all digital,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Yeah.
Until we start seeing these Boston Dynamic bots having AI
Well,
embedded
that's a
within it.
different conversation because they're doing all sorts of crazy things, backflips, sprints, shooting targets
Well,
from.
my point is, like, if you've got a robot that is semi-sentient, that has artificial intelligence, even let's say GPT level technology embedded within it,
Mm-hmm.
and has the capability to operate, walk, do your shopping for you. We're not there yet. And then on top of that, at the end of the day, the robot will have an off switch.
Mm-hmm.
And at the end of the day, if you disconnect the internet off of the robot, it doesn't work. So there's so many different things where that from an ethics perspective that people complain about. I personally don't have the same stance.
What is your stance? Point blank.
Exactly what I said. It's a mirror.
Okay.
It will reflect exactly what we input or what we say or our biases. You know,
Okay.
That's just the way I see it. It just doesn't.
Yeah.
Like, our best attributes will be reflected. Our worst attributes will
Well,
be reflected.
Well, yeah, I mean, like for me, that's the thing, right? I mean, should it really be a mirror though? Because there's a lot of crazy people in this world.
Think about it like this. Let's say you've got a newborn. That child is going to be a mirror and a reflection of you.
Mm-hmm.
It's the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
The person, the entity that created it.
Yeah, but that's also very, very dependent on, like, it's a lot. The circle of influence is a lot smaller
Of what?
in regards to, let's say, your example, that baby.
What's the influence? What's the circle?
Well, based on that mirror example that you just mentioned, like the circle of influence,
The
that
mirror.
mirror is based on just you. When in regards to AI, there's millions of people using it.
Well, I'm saying okay, so the AI is based off of data that's inputted
Mhm.
for it to basically collect it off of. All that
Yes.
data is all of humanity, planet Earth.
Well, that's what I'm
I
saying
mean by
is
the
that
mirror.
that sample size or the reflections going on in that mirror.
Yep.
I don't want the reflection of crazy Joe. I don't want
okay,
that.
right. I see what
I
you're
don't
saying.
want that at all. So that's where I think, like, for me,
What's your
again,
stance?
it's so hard, because I there has to be some sort of, I think, parameters or some sort of restrictions. What are those things? Honestly, I have no idea. I really don't. And that's really the problem,
Yeah.
especially, even as I'm saying this, I think that there needs to be, but I don't have any good suggestions at this point, so, I mean, but again, this happens with every single new industry, every single time, whether it's, the crypto industry, whether it's, I know back in around 2016 was the cannabis CBD industry. It's just like every time it's in a great period until something very, very bad happens.
Let me tell you something, though. I think the adoption and the normalization of it
Yeah.
what had the fastest turnaround compared to any of the things you just mentioned.
Yeah.
At least from where I'm sitting,
No, 100%.
right?
100%.
Like, didn't you notice that's? I mean, think about it, man. Anyone and everyone's using it. They stop complaining about it already. I think the next wave of AI complaints on ethics, right? At least on the ethics part.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we're diving into bias and discrimination, which is one of the things we want to talk about, right? We've already talked about it a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
But from an ethical perspective, like, I think the next time would probably be when it's embedded in Boston Dynamic bots and Elon's self-help robot bot, right?
There's like a meme floating around. There's a couple of them of Elon like kissing like an AI robot.
Yeah,
bro.
it's
so
like
funny. It's like his girlfriend or something.
I know exactly
So
what you're
funny.
talking about. It looks like Elon, but it's not. I think it's some sort of a Russian investor that bought that or is one of the part owner.
It has to be Elon.
It looks like him. It's not.
No. It doesn't just look like him. It's like an identical of him. Like it looks.
I think it's a real person. But anyway, maybe David can find it. I know
Mhm.
exactly what you're talking about.
It's
like,
so
yeah,
funny,
no.
dude. It's so funny.
I think the meme was like first person to ever kiss like a robot.
Yes. Or
Yeah.
Elon's new girlfriend or whatever.
Oh God.
But again, with regards to So let's, you know what? I want to start talking about regulation. I kind of alluded that to before.
Okay.
Will there be regulation? When do you think there will be regulation? If so, and what kind of regulation do you think that we'll see? It's a long question for you, but I want to, because this is kind of what I'm most interested in, to be very honest with you.
Yeah, AI regulation. I mean, we're already seeing it. We had Sam Altman, who is the CEO of OpenAI.
Mm-hmm.
He went to the Senate and was in front of got grilled in front of the committee for hours.
Bad.
I think he did a really good job. I feel like, on that note, I feel like there is some sort of a handbook that I don't know about, that all these people that go to the Senate, like Zuck,
They get trained,
Elon,
bro.
I mean, these guys are phenomenal, dude.
I think they get trained, but then also like the people asking the questions, dude. It's like your grandmother talking about AI.
But here's the thing.
The questions are horrible.
Elon's really good camera presence. He's gotten way better over the years.
Yeah.
Zuck is a robot, right? Let's admit,
yeah.
he's still an AI, right? Sam was always well-spoken.
Yes.
But they all have the same script, MO. When they
that
go
is true.
on and the way they handle it, it's just... Anyway, Sam Altman got grilled. I was actually writing an article about this, about that, and the committee. And what was this? So it's funny that you say that.
Well, because in the hearing, let's
Like
say,
a blog post.
yeah, he was actually Sam was like, I've been very, very clear. Like, I am worried, and we do need to do something. And he said that point blank.
Yeah, no, he was like, I'll send you. I'll have my team send you some packages and explaining some of this XYZ. But I think that regulation is definitely very important. People are already abusing the technology significantly for scams and all kinds of different things. I think, unfortunately, we're gonna see more bad than more bad come to light than good in a lot of these cases as it evolves and gets crazier.
I mean, that's what a lot of times kind of guides the regulation,
Yeah.
and rules is based on what's happened, and then obviously that's how loopholes are created. Because if it hasn't happened, then why would there be rules for it?
Well, what do you think? What additional measures need to be taken in regards to regulation?
Very similar to what I had mentioned before, where, I can't say that I can contribute an answer or a suggestion that has any kind of footing, but I think that at the very least there needs to be some sort of parameters for the AI, and especially for guys like us who are actually developing the AI, right? So that would also kind of allude to people like OpenAI that are actually kind of giving us the ability to further carry that along. Like that, it starts with people like them. It starts with Google that's developing Bard.
Yep.
So to kind of limit, whether it's limited access, I don't know. But again, just some sort of parameters, man, because at the end of the day, think about if we were bad people. Think about if we were bad people, what we would be able to accomplish. You also have people now, I'm sure that you've heard, that are getting these phone calls. It's like, hi, Johnny, it's your mom. I need $1,000. Send it to XYZ account.
Yeah.
And people send it, and it's an AI-generated voice that pretended to be Johnny's mother.
Someone did that.
Yes,
that's an
there's
actual
a TikTok,
example.
like going viral about that at one point.
Well, forget to take. I think this was all over the news when this happened. This woman got a call from her son saying, "Mom, I'm in jail. I need 15,000, 20,000 to bail. I need you to send this. Go here and mail this to get me bailed."
Was it that much?
Yeah, it was like 10, 15 grand.
Jesus.
And she did it because it sounded just like him, and he was distressed. She didn't even question it. She was probably an older woman, and she made the payment. I mean, if anyone's watching this, feel free to correct me if I got the numbers wrong or on the points, but I'm 100% positive that this is one of the bigger scams that happened.
Crazy.
And it was all over the place. And she went and mailed it, and then later found out that her son. She called her son, and he was fine. He was fine. But yeah.
So
man.
with regards to that, I mean, I really don't know where we need to kind of just do our best to give some sort of pushback that will allow things like this to happen. Just have it be harder to accomplish, because based what we have now, it's actually very easy to do with that scammer did. Let's say it's not hard to do at all.
So my take on this is really simple.
Mm-hmm.
I know how we feel about regulation and too much government control, right? We all have similar thoughts. Like, we don't really want that. But at the end of the day, people like me and you are heavily invested in it. We have a lot to do with it. So I want regulation to some degree because I don't want this to be a wild, wild west. I don't want people to abuse it and ruin the fun and experience for everybody else.
Mm-hmm.
I would much rather have some sort of control and input from the government and have it be fine-tuned for everybody else to be able to use comfortably without it ruining the experience. This is how I see it.
Okay.
AI is like a sports car.
Okay.
It takes us places really fast,
Mm.
but we need certain rules, regulations, road lines, things, items that a really fast sports car needs to follow. Because if that doesn't happen, there will be accidents. So it's our job to make sure that they follow those rules and everybody else follows them too. It needs to be.
It's a good analogy. I like it. I like that a lot. I mean, I agree with everything that you're saying.
I mean, at the end of the day, this is a tool for humanity.
I know.
It's not a replacement. A lot of people keep confusing that.
They're getting scared, for sure. I was actually on the phone with someone the other day, and he asked me point blank. He goes, "A lot of my friends are telling me that AI is going to take over the world and replace their jobs. What do you think?" This was in the office over here.
What would you say?
And I pretty much said, I was like, man, to be honest with you, in some cases, your friends, let's say, are right. A lot of the more monotonous, jobs or tasks that we complete, that we do on a daily basis, those will not be available anymore. Why would they be available? But for those that are creative, for those that have high level skills, high income skills, you're going to be just fine. And a lot of times it's more about not being scared of AI, but again, trying to think about how you can leverage it and use it to become more efficient, yourself. So
I think, I think that all the factory jobs, a lot of big factories already, you have been using robots and AI for years. People just don't know it.
Is a good example of that.
Right. And even Tesla, like a lot of the manufacturing inside the factory and assembly is by partially artificial intelligent robots.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Tesla factories, the Gigafactory. You've never seen the robots? Like, I'm not talking about like human walking around robots.
No,
I'm
that
talking
I
about
know,
the
but I
machinery.
seen the machines, but I didn't know that they were
assembled,
AI based. Yeah.
I mean, some form of AI technology. AI is like a loosely based term now,
I know,
right?
it's getting thrown around.
No.
It really is.
I mean, in a nutshell, though, anything that is self-programmed to execute certain tasks and be able to adapt is artificial intelligence. But people think AI is like this auto-thinking tool, but there's different forms of AI. Like I said, AI existed since the 80s, 90s.
So
the first game that was built.
Let's take people like Tesla, Amazon, even, guys like you and I that, run like a custom software company and deliver products to clients. What kind of role do you think businesses and, entrepreneurs kind of play in this equation that we're talking about, with ethics and responsibility, balancing those things? Important question, I think. Or the answer, let's say, would be important.
Yeah, I mean, in the equation of balancing the responsibility of ethics, I don't know. I don't know if that's a good question. I don't know if that's okay. So as a business owner myself, I don't know if I care about that too much.
Okay.
About the ethical part.
Okay.
I care about the contribution and evolution of it. That's just my stance.
Okay.
Right? I don't know. Does it matter at the end of the day if I'm not creating that tool? That's just the way I see it. I don't know. Like, I don't really have a strong direct hand in controlling the outcome of that tool. But one of the biggest things.
Go ahead.
Sorry, go ahead.
No, I
Well, you want to elaborate a little bit more? Maybe.
Well, what I was going to say is that you don't, like, based on what you mentioned, where you said you don't control the outcome of the tool, but we're creating the tool.
Yeah.
Okay.
So we are like literally creating the tool with some of our software, with some of the products that we build.
Yeah.
Yeah, then that's 100% our responsibility. Oh, I just thought meaning like if you're not, I'm thinking more from a general broad term, I guess.
Okay.
People that aren't creating a tool.
Yeah.
but more of like adopting it. I think that's more of a responsibility. I think, okay. So your question was, what role do businesses, entrepreneurs have to play in this equation when it comes to ethical balance and responsibility? I think we take the word ethical out.
Okay.
I think that's what I was trying to say earlier. I think
Okay.
that we take that out and not make that a concern of ours, because at the end of the day, unless you are building the tool, unless you're creating it, just like the way you clarified. So in our case, yes, we are creating several AI pieces of technology that we release and releasing and building.
Yeah.
So it is our responsibility to be ethical and to, like, we heavily test this. You know this. We do all kinds of wild tests during and after development. So, yeah, so I guess we already do that. But for companies that are non-technical, that I think instead replace the ethical with adoption and more of like just being a little bit more open-minded. Feel free to experiment and see how this helps you rather than start criticizing and critiquing it.
Yeah, that for sure.
You know, I think you'd be surprised with the number of hours it would save you in a day. It would save your team members in a day.
Easily.
It's game changing, man. It's no matter what you think about, like, just the execution, the amount of brain power you're using to think about, let's say, writing a complicated email,
proposal,
anything.
I mean,
anything,
legitimately anything.
Anything.
Okay.
Even from the lowest level employee in a company to the highest level executive position, it doesn't hurt having access to this, because you would need it. It, like, from the ground up to the highest point, any and everyone can use something like this.
Yeah.
And in a lot of places, a lot of applications, it's free.
Yeah. Well, I mean, like, for me, I think, again, being that, let's say, someone like us is actually developing this tool, I would agree with some of the things that you said, where I actually really do think that it's going to be a big responsibility, you know, for people like us to, when we see things that aren't right, to say something, right? But then also, as we're starting to create, you know, these platforms that utilize AI technology, you know, Wands, if we do get a crazy idea, are we going to bring it? Are we going to work with that person? If it's a absolutely insane idea.
From a client perspective?
From a client perspective.
If it's unethical, I would never work on
exactly.
Like, you know where I stand on that.
Correct. And I agree with you, but someone will. And that's the big problem. So
that's what I'm saying. I'm not saying that we're so grand and we're so ethical, but I'm just saying it doesn't align with our principles. Our principles as a company and business owners, we don't
even outside of that, though.
Yeah.
My point is that we won't, but someone will. Someone will. And then what happens then? What happens then? It only takes a couple people to do some really jacked up shit.
I think that it already happened, and it already is happening. There are some Lex Luthors in the world that are building this, some that are conducting some evil scheme to utilize this technology.
Like Dark GPT or something like that. Like, they named it, where you literally would log on and it would just start hacking shit and telling you shit.
I mean, there's people that are scheming and doing all kinds of stuff all the time. You want to know something? I don't know if I go live with this as we're getting to wrap here.
Okay. I was curious, but now I'm interested.
I found out last night.
Oh.
I was going to text you this.
Oh, goodness.
So, you know, as I have a history of knowing all these people that I've networked with in the New York scene and, you know, back in the day and whatnot. I mean, when you're networking hardcore, you are all over the place, right? You're talking to some really good people, really intelligent people, really successful people, but you never know what people are doing, man. It's scary. And what I'm trying to say is, there's this guy who is a pretty big influencer right now.
Okay.
And was rather, I didn't know. Shit.
That could have been bad.
I didn't. It's empty. I didn't know that he was massive. And I saw his name in the news last night. Someone texted it to me. Someone that knows a guy as well.
Okay.
On my network. And his name is Danny Devin.
Okay.
Do you know that guy?
No.
Massive crypto influencer.
Okay.
In the scene. I didn't even know he pivoted like that. I didn't even know. When I met him, he was he's like the same age as me. same
Okay.
age as me.
Okay.
When I met him, he wasn't that big.
Okay.
He has hundreds of videos online.
Okay.
So now he's going to jail for 32 years.
No.
Yeah.
What did he do?
Bro, okay, in a nutshell, in COVID peak,
I'm going to sleep now. We need to speed
in a
this up.
nutshell, in the peak of COVID, what Danny Devin did was he took out 71 PPP and EIDL loans.
Oh my
with
God.
71 different like fake companies with fake tax returns, fake everything, and he ended up getting $1.3 million of that. Used that to buy a mansion in Maryland with that money, and liquidated some of that government funds into crypto, different exchanges, and all kinds of crazy shit. I mean, if you just search up his name right now, Danny Devin.
71 loans for $1.3 million. I was expecting that number to be like 47 million.
No, he didn't. I mean, it doesn't work like that. When you apply for the PPP, it's based off of your expenses,
Well,
revenue,
that's what I'm saying,
and all kinds of
but
stuff.
some of the loans are getting for PPP were like 100,000, 200,000, 300,000. Like they were getting that high.
So they hit him with wire fraud. They hit him with all kinds of like a litany of stuff. He was apparently, I don't know, man. You got to read this article. Anyway, it's David, if you could find it, that would be really, really good.
Yeah.
This guy, if anyone that's like some sort of a money guru in TikTok, he's one of the bigger ones. All his accounts are down now, so you can only find reposts.
Oh my goodness.
He is, I mean, dude.
32 years is a long time, man.
Oh yeah, he's gonna be 60 plus when the time comes out. I mean,
They're gonna be AI
he pled
robots.
guilty. He pled guilty, by the way. So, anyway, the reason why I was saying this is you never know what people are doing. Like you might meet I mean, he was the nicest guy, man. You might be a future podcast test. We're gonna call it on that. You want to wrap us out?
Sure.
You got anything else to say?
No, I mean that's crazy. I don't think he's the only person that's gonna go down for that, because there's a lot of people that have done exactly that.
Oh, this is OD though.
So it is OD. I mean, 71 loans. He had a full-time job just trying to get loans at one point.
Like I said, might be a future podcast.
In 30 years. Maybe we'll see.
Come
if we
out
can
for a
get him,
good time.
Maybe we'll see if we can get him virtual.
Yeah, why not?
But anyway, for those watching, listening, it's always a pleasure. We hope you enjoyed today's episode here. What's so funny?
Just my record of encountering similar people. It's kind of shocking.
It's full circle to the mirror, huh?
Shut the fuck.
Anyway, no matter where you are, ladies and gentlemen here, we appreciate you, and we'll see you in the next one. Enjoy.
Thank you.
Yeah, venture hustles, life is really what you make it. Building up your brand is whatever you create it. Really ain't no limit. You just gotta love it. Working day and night, it's all about the venture hustle. Hey, venture hustles. Time to take it to the next level. Let's go.